a restaurant.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Expect partly cloudy skies to continue through your afternoon hours. High temperatures near 55 tonight. More clouds will push in. Could see a late sprinkle or mountain flurry. Lows mid and upper 30s. Breezy colder Thursday. Highs struggling to reach the lower to middle 40s. 20 to 24 by Friday morning. Old Man Winter's back, so keep your family toasty warm all season long with Dodge City Ski Shop, featuring the largest selection of cold weather clothing around. That's Dodge City Ski Shop, East Brainerd Road, Chattanooga. And I'm Swarsheen 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Core.
On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
Hello and welcome to the Art Beat of Chattanooga, Nooga Radio 101.1. Hot News Talk Radio, Nooga Radio 1240 AM. My name is Jillian Collins, your host, and excited to share with you today about art, about Chattanooga, and art in the world. So thanks for joining us today. You can call in anytime today, 423-800-8949, 423-800-8949. If you're a local artist, if you have an event, a nonprofit event involving this community, I love talking with anyone concerning that, where art and community combine to help others. So feel free to call. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, and we're broadcasting on AM and FM. So it's a good platform to share and get your events out there. Last week we talked about something big that happened in Chattanooga on Thanksgiving with a 3-alarm fire and the loss of Art 120 studio belongings, tools, art, some artists a lifetime of work. So we're going to talk today a little bit about how art and society interact, how they impact one another. It's kind of like which came first, the chicken or the egg. We see all the way back into history drawings with charcoal on walls where the first people recorded were drawing their lives out, their hunting, their sorrow. Somehow art relates directly to our heart, to our mind and soul, and to our lives. So part of the question is, you know, which one affects which? Does society affect art? Does art affect society? How does that work? So, you know, we're going to talk about that today. And if you have children in school and their programs are being cut, music, art, this sort of thing, I'd like to hear from you. How does that affect you? How does that affect your children? How do you think that affects, you know, their growth, their mind development, if we do not make this a high priority in our educational system? So, you know, all the way through the years and centuries, art has been very impactful of society. Got a little call here. Going to take this call. Hello. Thanks for calling into the Art Beat of Chattanooga.
Hi, this is Lizzie Campbell. I was wondering if I could talk about some art things that are going around Chattanooga.
Absolutely, Liz. And I'm sorry you couldn't be here today, but I know we all share on Facebook some of our life experiences, and it seems some of us Chattanooga artists are going through a huge shift, moving, losing things in fires, having your apartment condemned, and yourself seeking a new living situation. So I'm really glad you could call. And go ahead, Liz, share what's on your mind.
Well, I am actually part of a lot of art groups here in Chattanooga, and the one that I specifically wanted to highlight is FLAG, which is Friends of Local Artists and Galleries.
All right. So when is that happening and what's going on with that?
Well, they're right now just a group of artists that are from every different gallery here in Chattanooga. They have meetups at the Honest Pint and at Townsend Atelier. They will provide art critiques and advice on art supplies and all of that. And if you follow their Facebook page, they'll post different art shows that are going on in Chattanooga and different events that are going on in Chattanooga that are related to the arts of Chattanooga.
Right. And you're very connected in that area, Liz. And I appreciate that, as you've been involved with the Heart Gallery and giving in the areas of art to the community, not for self-gain, but for the love of art and the love of how it produces, what it produces in society and in ourselves. And so can you speak to that? Like art and society, how does that work for you, Liz? How do you interact with society? How do you feel art from your life has impacted you? And how do you feel your art, how do you wish that to impact society?
I actually wrote a speech on this on my senior year of high school about how art will expand your experience in the entire world. If you learn how to express yourself in a way through art, you will be able to comprehend emotions better. You can, stretch your mind beyond what you just learn in math and science. And there are a lot of studies in universities such as Yale and other Ivy League schools that show that art actually exercises most of your brain when you take part of it. The only thing that exercises your brain more is music, which is just another form of art.
Right. And I think that's a great point that, I've been trying to bring to bear on this show, to reach out to school systems and society to say, these things are crucial in the development of our children and our society. If we do not present art and music to our children throughout their early education, literally parts of their brain are not going to develop. That's going to help them with multiple avenues and facets of thinking, like you said, perception of emotion and perception of society as well. So I agree totally with that. And how about yourself? You are, it's pretty funny. I'm going to tell a little bit about Liz because she's been a guest and is a regular guest on the show, but like all of us, she has life going on today that prevented her from being here. But Liz is not what I've met as the typical artist. You are also a biochemist. Is that the correct thing?
Yeah, that is the correct word.
Yeah. So
I work as a quality assurance lab tech for a company that makes color former for receipts.
Color former?
Yes.
What is that?
So when you have a piece of paper that is printed off in a receipt, it doesn't technically have ink that is put onto the paper. It's already in the paper. Basically, the way you print receipts is having a laser go over the paper and activate the ink that's already in the paper.
So you're playing with invisible ink.
Basically.
Pretty fun.
It's thermal activated ink.
Right. But the interesting point that I feel that I heard you say, Liz, is how art helps to develop the entire brain. And I know from experience with you that you are a very brilliant young woman. You think on multiple levels of biochemistry and, the, what do you call it? The elements, the chart, I'm forgetting that, that we learn in chemistry.
Periodic
table, and how many of us remember that was a challenge when we got in high school, like memorize the periodic table. And it seems to me that that part of your brain is also as active as the art part, and how do they merge?
Like art has actually helped me with memorizing the periodic table because you've learned the different properties of the elements, and then you can organize them on the periodic table by color and texture. And there's actually a very heavy trend with color and texture in the periodic table, which makes it a lot easier to memorize.
Well, now I'm excited about the periodic table. So, it's very interesting. And I want to share a quick experience that I think relates a little bit to what you memorizing the periodic table is have you ever stood outside at night and looked up at the stars? And I've had the experience where I saw a grid, that connected every star to the other one in a perfect geometric pattern. Everything connects when you look up into the universe. And that may sound a little weird, or Twilight Zone-ish, but it reminds me of the forms that you see on the periodic table, the atoms, the molecules, all these things that you're learning about all the time and using. That it's represented everywhere in society, everywhere in art. So I could give you an assignment, let's do a piece of art with the periodic table. I'm sure you've already done that.
I mean, I made flashcards like that for a reason.
Right. But So that's really interesting. So as far as yourself, you're moving, and how's things going? Are you able to get time to paint right now, or is this one of those times when that's at the back burner?
In the process of moving, I have not painted at all, but before I signed the lease, I had painted, and I'm working on getting space here in the new apartment to do art. My new roommate actually has her own paintings all over the place, and it's definitely inspiring me a whole bunch. So we're hoping that we can turn a small part of our living room into an art space.
Absolutely. That's, I guess, how life is now. You know, your living space can be your studio space, and a lot of times it has to be. That can be good and bad, you know. So, well, you know, I'm really glad that you got a place, and you know, if there's something else that's on your mind upcoming, I know you do the Prism pop-up gallery, and that's a ways off, but it's a wonderful concept.
6 months off. I'm working on getting the brochures ready for that. So it's not quite to the part of advertising it, but I'm working on it.
Right. And it's a great concept, Liz. And, you know, again, you're one of the young people I've met in Chattanooga who gives me faith that this, sometimes we hear from people about, oh, the generation, the current generation, the millennial generation, and there may be a negativity involved from people of an older generation. But I really want to say and commend, you know, you and many of your friends and coworkers I've met, that this group of people, this young people in Chattanooga that are into the artistic scene, music, comedy, you know, visual arts, everything, they're serious. These are not hippies. These are not love children. You're talking very intelligent women like Liz, who are biochemists and an artist. So it's a very exciting time in society. And I think this shows exactly how society and art interact. Did you, as a child, grow up with original art in your home?
Yes. My parents actually always had original art. My aunt is actually an Area 61 artist.
Now that's a lovely gallery.
I grew up around artists and artwork my entire life. I met most of the Area 61 artists from parties before I met them as an artist.
Yeah. So do you, I mean, that obviously impacted you, I would think, to the desire for your own creativity now through what you saw as a child. Is there a specific piece you remember living with or growing up in your home that really impressed you and that stays with you?
Well, my mom actually, outside of our own home, owned a bridal center, like a chapel. And there was a piece of art that was just black and white of a road and with cars in it. It didn't have any focus of a person or anything like that. It was just a road with no one looking at the camera, just people. And it was from, I think, 1900, like very early Chattanooga scene. And it, I don't know, it struck me. And it was not original. It was a copy from the city. Something about the focus being on the state or the place really struck me as interesting.
Yeah, it sounds lovely. It's interesting too, because one of the pieces I grew up with was an oil painting with a car in it. It was also from about the same period of time. There were no people in it that I recall, but it was that there was a road and there was nature and there was this old car. And I literally felt like I went and lived in that painting many, many times. And it has impacted my actual style, you know, as I've grown up and what I've come to see as art for myself. So that's
actually, interestingly enough, most of the original paintings that my mom has were from when she traded art for a wedding.
Now I love that idea. That's fantastic. The barter system doesn't seem to be quite alive and kicking at the moment, but we're working on it. So.
Yeah, there's actually a really popular artist who wasn't popular when he started, who's now on Main Street. I can't think of his name, but he has a studio at 400 East Main Street, as in a studio/gallery.
Are you talking about the artist that did the poster for Nightfall a couple years ago that does the beautiful Chattanooga paint? What is his name?
Bright Rainbow Art.
Yes, I love his work, and I'll have his name on the second segment because he is a true Chattanooga artist that is representing this city in a kind of representational and yet not way. Everything has line, color wrapping through it. and they're very busy paintings, very colorful. And he does have a whole beautiful gallery full of this work. It's amazing. I feel really bad that.
Well, my mom did his weddings in exchange for 4 original paintings when he first started.
Well, that's amazing.
So,
that's incredible.
Right before he started blasting off as a representation of Chattanooga, we have his early works on our wall where we helped him out when he was struggling.
That's what it's all about, you know, and that's what we're all doing here in Chattanooga at this point. A lot of us, I'm not a young artist, but I am a new artist to Chattanooga in the last 3 years. And finding, you know, navigating your way through that, where you find your connections, where your work fits, taking the risk as an artist to enter in a show and potentially be rejected. That's a tough thing. You know, so there's a lot going on with it. And we're going to talk some more in the second half, just about really how society impacts art, how art impacts society, all the way back, as I said in the beginning, to, you know, the cavemen drawing on their walls with charcoal from their fire. People automatically want to represent in picture and in music what they feel, what they live, their experience. They want to record it, and writing as well. So, and you did mention music, Liz, and I want to say that, you know, if there is reincarnation, I want to be a musician next, because music to me travels through the most avenues and reaches the most people for the longest periods of time. You know, look at Mozart. Here it is, you know, 2016, and you can just get his music anytime you want. And I find as an artist, sometimes I'm almost a little jealous. Like, you know, boy, they have the airwaves, they have, you know, the ability to get that music to thousands and millions of people. And it's an incredible thing. You know, music truly is the symphony of our life. It's the soundscape of our life. So, you know, I'd love to get some more musicians on here too. If anyone that's out there is a musician, really love to share more about music in Chattanooga. It's an art form. It's valid. And, you know, we're not art snobs here. We're not only about painting and two-dimensional art. So feel free to also share as musicians and dancers and comedy, improv, anything that's art. So, yeah. So, Liz, we're going to keep supporting you, and I hope next week or next month you can come back on our first Thursday schedule. And really glad you called in and, you know, talking about you finding a place with another artist and your place in society, again, where you have a creative space, at least inspirational for now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure that feels really good.
I appreciate it. I'm always welcome to tell you what's going on in my life.
Yeah. Well, you know, me too. That's why, you know, some artists just lost everything in a fire. My stuff's all in a storage unit because my apartment was condemned just before Thanksgiving, not to any fault of my own, but to poor conditions in the apartment. Mm-hmm. And we're all going through a lot, but we're fighters, you know. And I know the Art 120 logo now coming out of the fires, the Phoenix Rising. And that's what we have to do, right? We just have to keep rising above the curveballs life may throw and enjoy the times that we have an oasis or a mountaintop, you know. So that's what it's about, supporting each other. And, you know, thanks, Liz, for calling in. And I miss having you here, but I love speaking with you. And good luck on getting the rest of your stuff moved into your place.
I appreciate it, and I hope you have good luck finding a new apartment yourself.
Thank you. I'm working on it, and people are giving me support. I appreciate that very much. And, you know, we'll see you really soon, Liz. Thanks so much for calling.
Have a wonderful day.
You too, dear. Bye-bye. So that's Liz Campbell, and she's kind of a regular here and a very lovely, connected lady, young woman in Chattanooga that's moving forward by choice, on purpose, to change society, to impact society, to help society. She was a curator at the Heart Gallery, helping, you know, with their protocols of seniors, people with disabilities or special challenges, homeless, recovering from other addictions. So, you know, there's a heart there. There's a heart in Chattanooga. The heartbeat, the art beat of Chattanooga is not just throw some paint on a canvas. It's let's impact society. Let's impact lives and hearts. because without viewers, without you looking and experiencing the arts that we put forth, there's nothing. You know, imagine a society where you couldn't go to the Hunter Museum tonight to the Christmas gala, or you couldn't go into a hospital, for instance, where some of the most beautiful work is all through the hospitals of this nation. And why is it there? It's there because the people there are hurting. They're suffering. Their loved ones are suffering. And that work brings them comfort as they pass through the hallways. And so that's why art and society go together. It's both ways. We represent society. Society is represented in art. Things that happen in society, like 9/11, are represented through art. Wars, tragedies, famines, and also beautiful things. Weddings, births, parties, joy. So this all connects. And, you know, basically today's show is about, if you have a special thing you want to share, how you're impacted or how you believe society's impacted, or if your children you feel are not getting what they need in society to help them expand their mind and skills to utilize all of these things moving forward in their life, then feel free to give me a call in the second segment. So thanks for joining. We'll be back in a little bit with the Art Beat of Chattanooga, Nooga Radio 101.1 FM, 1240 AM, Nooga Radio, the Art Beat of Chattanooga.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
There's a reason why Alliance Physical Therapy is a choice of professionals and those who care about first-class, top-notch service and treatment. Because at Alliance Physical Therapy of Chattanooga, we don't just treat the symptoms in your body. Whether you're suffering from stiffness, muscle spasms, back pain, chronic headaches every day, stress of life demanding more and more of you, Alliance Physical Therapy takes a holistic approach to healing, mind, body, and soul. Alliance Physical Therapy, with a location near you and 9 others in the Chattanooga area. If you don't have a doctor or if your physician's plan for chronic pain is not working, Alliance Physical Therapy will help. Visit Alliance Physical Therapy on the web at nopainpt.com. That's nopainpt.com. Alliance Physical Therapy.
Hey, you've told the boss you're taking the week off for Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah, I've got to rush to finish the project early, and then I'm taking the week off plus Monday.
Well, what are you going to do with Baxter?
Oh, no worries. I'm going to take him to the inn at Wolftever.
Oh, sounds like that'll work well for you and Baxter.
Absolutely. I like that Baxter will be able to play cage-free, and I could check in on him with my smartphone. You know, like looking into his little Wolftever apartment. I can see if he's eating dinner, or if he's sleeping, or even if he's watching TV.
Well, if you're going on vacation, I guess Baxter should get one too.
Yeah, I want high quality for him. You know, I like Wolftever's pool. I really like their indoor play yards. I really want him to have a good time playing with the other dogs. The inn at Wolftever.
Our house in the middle of our street.
Hi, I'm Sabrina with Sabrina Realty Associates. Now is a great time to sell your home. In our area, inventory is at an all-time low, which translates into higher sales prices. Call us today at 423-499-7780 to set up a free consultation and discuss our unique and aggressive marketing programs. We will provide you with a free market analysis to determine the right value of your home. Call us today at 423-499-7780 or visit our website at SabrinaRealty.com.
Our house in the middle of our street. Our house.
Cash, 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 and more cash. Hey, where do you think Santa shops? Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds. He made a special stop to tell Rick, slash those prices 50 to 70%. Oh, ho, ho. That's right. Get 50 to 70% off right now for Christmas at Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds. Even Rick's not going to say no to Santa. No, no, no. Don't wait till after Christmas. It'll be way too late. Get your cash, cash, cash right now for your gold, your silver, your diamonds, and jewelry. and save 50 to 70% off. On a $100 item, it's only $30. On a $1,000 item, $300. Has Rick gone mad?
Well, maybe a little.
No, we think he's just Christmassy. Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds. 50% off right now. Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds, Brainerd Road, Chattanooga. You know where it is. Hey, is that Santa? Cash, 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 and more cash.
Is your career taking you where you want to go? If not, talk to Covenant Group Insurance, especially if you like helping people. Call and learn how you can work for yourself, but not by yourself. Intense but free training, plus a fantastic lead program, plus office support equals your success, your prosperity. Gross at least $75,000 your first year selling insurance. Call Steve Verjeda for a confidential interview. That's 855-8484. Maybe the most important call you make all year.
Wars come and go, but my soldiers stay eternal.
Now you can listen to Hot News Talk Radio anywhere streaming live at Noogaradio.com. That's Noogaradio.com.
Hot News Talk 1240.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
Hot News Talk 1240.
AM 1240 Nooga Radio News. Russell Stroud reporting. A Bradley County man was riddled by bullets early this morning. He was airlifted to Erlanger. Detectives are trying to find out what exactly happened. The shooting occurred on Zion Hill Road. And in Harrison, another man was airlifted after a serious ATV accident. He apparently crashed and was seriously injured. He had to be airlifted by Life Force to Erlanger Medical Center. Hamilton County Sheriff's investigating. 2 more school bus lawsuits have popped up against Durham School Services. 2 of them filed on behalf of Barbara Eccles and Tanasia Williams, the mother of a 7-year-old boy and the mother of a 10-year-old girl. Both were injured in the bus wreck, which killed 6 on Tally Road. In Sevier County, 2 teenagers have been charged with aggravated arson. Both were taken into custody and taken to Sevier County Juvenile Detention Center. They're accused of starting the fire, which caused so much tragedy and death and destruction in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. And we want to remind you, as it gets freezing outside, bring your pets indoors or give them adequate shelter. It's not just a good idea, it's also the law. If it's going on in the Tennessee Valley, it's going on AM 1240 Nooga Radio.
Expect partly cloudy skies to continue through your afternoon hours. High temperatures near 55 tonight. More clouds will push in. Could see a late sprinkle or mountain flurry. Lows mid and upper 30s. Breezy colder Thursday. Highs struggling to reach the lower to middle 40s. 20 to 24 by Friday morning. Old Man Winter's back, so keep your family toasty warm all season long with Dodge City Ski Shop, featuring the largest selection of cold weather clothing around. That's Dodge City Ski Shop, East Brainerd Road, Chattanooga. And I'm Swarm Machine 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr.
On AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
Hot News Talk 1240.
Downtown Chattanooga's home for news, talk, and sports. Nooga Radio 101.1 FM.
Hello and welcome back to the Heartbeat of Chattanooga, Nooga Radio 101.1 FM, 1240 AM. We're here on the Heartbeat of Chattanooga. I'm Jillian Collins, your host. We talk about all things art related, especially to Chattanooga and society. Today, we're especially focusing on how art and society interact together, how they affect one another, kind of what would the world be like without art. For me, that would be very empty. So if you have something going on in Chattanooga that relates art to society, especially potentially in the nonprofit way that you're reaching out, art, and feel free to call in and talk to us about it. The phone number is 423-800-8949, 423-800-8949. And I'm here on the second half with David Tulis, another host of the radio station, whose daughter is an artist and does amazing sculptures, whose brother is an artist and has beautiful work as well. And David is a writer, which is another form of art. He's more journalism based. Still, he's producing his creative skills to impact society and to produce an emotional response. So technically, if you look up art, that still applies to being art. We could get into a lot of arguments about how radio towers are art and this sort of thing. We're not going to really get into that today, but more interested in talking about how art and society work together. And a couple things going on in Chattanooga tonight. There's the Christmas Gala at the Hunter Museum. I believe that's 6 to 7:30. The Hunter for Chattanooga connects us directly to art, to society, to American art. Also brings in artists from around the world that connect with American art. So it is a really pivotal point of this community to have the Hunter Museum in our town. So the other thing I'm going to share is about Barking Legs Theater. Last week, they supported the members of Art 120 by having the fundraiser for them, the kind of fun gala, even though it was a sad event where the 3-alarm fire on Thanksgiving Day took so much from so many. Out of the ashes, the phoenix rising. There are, you know, these artists, these businessmen and women are coming together and finding avenues to continue and to utilize that experience, even though it was one of the most horrible things they've probably ever gone through. So Barking Legs this year is celebrating their 24 years of music, dance, and art with a fundraiser. Astound you. So it's going to be outrageous, unexpected, and vibrant as the rich history they produce the rich history of our scenic city. Dancing, art, music, food. And they say they just can't give too much away. Their goal is to bring 500 new people into the Barking Legs Theater. And the admission is you need to bring one person that's never been to Barking Legs before. So it's free. Just go grab a person and enjoy this. And that is happening on December 10th. So you can at 2 p.m. to 12 a.m. So this is going to be a real party, Day of the Legs. So that's something you can do to support Chattanooga. It's a free event. You can check out some things that maybe you haven't seen before or experienced. So that's one of the things that's going on. And of course, there's First Fridays. There are Tivoli, you know, the list goes on. And just you can Google Chattanooga Fun and find anything to do in Chattanooga. So hi, David.
Hi, how are you, Jill?
Good. How are you today?
Well, I'm fine. This evening, my plans will touch on art. I just want you to know that my wife, Jeanette, suggested that if I go to the camp house at 5, there is a little event with a kind of Christian interest and argument, and it's have coffee with a cop. And I would like to be able to do that, to meet an officer or an officer or two in person, just chat about their callings and their careers. It's very interesting. But then just after that is the event I believe you mentioned at the Hunter Art Gallery. It's about a 90-minute event starting at 6. And if you, our listener, have an art interest, just do look for me. If you care, I'm the guy with the bow tie, kind of tall, 6'2", and would love to meet with you, and maybe we can celebrate some of the fine works on the walls there and on pedestals at the Hunter Art Gallery.
Yeah, it's the Hunter Art Gallery is amazing, and it takes literally me at least 3 hours to tour through there, and I'm not sure that I can see everything that I want to in 3 hours. And the historical mansion is pivotal for wedding photographs and things, so that's a part of society as well. And David, you know, part of what I'm really been focusing on the Art Beat of Chattanooga is art and society, the kind of direction of the school systems to, because of lack of funding, to start to, for years now, scale back art programs, music programs, and how, you know, you're an intelligent writer, you have children who are into art, a brother, so these things have always been a part of your life. Can you imagine if they hadn't been, like how that would affect you as a writer? Well, let me grab this phone call. Hi, thanks for calling the Art Beat of Chattanooga.
I love your show. But, you know, there's a good reason why the government schools, public schools, scaling back these programs. It's actually necessary because, you know, they have to focus their efforts on social studies, telling us how great Africa is, even though I don't know that they've ever produced anything of value, and how mankind started in Africa. Once again, that's a lie. It was actually in China. And just social studies in general, giving kids a bunch of useless information they'll never be able to use throughout their life, and through Common Core it's even worse. So I understand why they would cut programs that would enlarge kids' minds and get them interested in staying in school, because you need stuff like social studies. You need stuff to tell us, you know, why we were slave owners and why, you know, we were so bad as individuals, and America is a bad country. You know, those programs are necessary to take up time for the children and the government institutions of lower learning.
Well, regardless of the government, Thanks for calling in about that. And, you know, I do think that the government has, you know, not a plot necessarily. I'm not going to get into that whole theory, but regardless of the social studies aspect, I have to respond to the fact that you don't know if anything good came out of Africa. I know for certain that programs and people that work through Africa and the beautiful tapestries and arts that they do produce are valuable, just like they are in any community. You know, so I appreciate the thought of that. And I do support art in any community that helps to express their pain, their joy, their life, their death. So,
well, I think the caller is suggesting that art can't really be well studied or well promoted from the tax-based sector, that it needs to really be in a private sector where there's individual and private initiative, as opposed to the kind of deadening effect of the state sector. Looks like we have a call.
Hi, thanks for calling the Art Beat of Chattanooga.
Hey, Jill, this is Hannah Horn. How are you?
Hi, Hannah. I'm well. How are you today?
Doing good, doing good. Getting some work done.
That's excellent.
But I did just want to let everyone know, I saw that you had posted on Facebook reaching out to us. So I just wanted to let everyone that's listening and yourself know that we'll have a show at the Barking Legs this coming Saturday. It's called Day of the Legs. You can go to their Facebook page to find out more information. That's the Barking Legs Theater, and that's supporting Art 120 and the artists. So
that's awesome, Hannah, because I just announced that too. So it's so exciting that you're following up with that. And it's a free event. Bring a friend. That's never been to Barking Legs, but it's a long event, 2 to 12 a.m. So it's even though the circumstances that produce the fundraiser are very, very tragic. I continue to find it amazing, Hannah, how all of you are finding good and moving forward, you know, the Phoenix rising. I'm just very impressed and excited that the community is getting behind you in this. And while I've got you,
thanks, including yourself. Thank you.
All right, Hannah, you have a great day. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, you too. Yeah, of course. Thanks.
Well, Jill, have you, what do you know about the artists Eric Keller and Laura Willett? It's a married couple. They're involved in art education. And it looks like you have another call.
Yep, we got a caller today. Hi, welcome to the Art Beat of Chattanooga.
Yeah, David is from the South, and I know you've been here for a while. I was being sarcastic. I know Southerners don't get sarcasm. I figured you will, Jill, since you're from the North. Of course, government needs to do arts programs. You know, if we're going to have government schools, we should have arts programs at every single school. I was being sarcastic in saying that social studies is an absolute waste of time for children in government schools. It's a waste of time. They don't care about it. Nothing more than propaganda. And that could be taken up with an art class. What kid doesn't love art or coloring?
Yeah, I totally got that. I was just kind of yanking your chain a little bit there. I know what you're saying, you know, and I agree with that 100%. So art needs to be in schools.
I was just being sarcastic that, of course, we need art. And art is not just about putting, you know, your pencil to your paper or your brush to paper. You know, art could be, you know, building something creative that comes out of your mind. It's a Lego set. Building something from a Lego set.
Well, we got a soundscape going on downtown that, you know, it's all lights and music based, and it's an art experience, and it's still art.
Yeah.
So that's a broad spectrum.
A radio tower, an antenna could be art. I know David hates that, but
I'm shaking my head. No, no.
Will you feel it? Listen, as a professional artist, can you back me up on this? That towers are actually art. All right, thanks. Bye.
I much prefer the beauty of electrical transform units behind fences.
So anything can be art. It's not designed as art as far as
anything. Well,
the
let's just back up here, Jill Collins. I think anything can be the subject of art, but not anything can be art. It's just not. That's not.
Right.
That's misunderstanding what artists do and what art is. And I think in a way it's kind of humiliating to think that you can make an electrical transformer as an engineer, and then suddenly someone calls it art. Got another caller here.
Hi, thanks for calling.
Hi, I'm an architectural engineer. I just wanted to say real quick, my favorite form of art is actually cooling towers for nuclear power plants. That's all I had to say. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thanks for calling.
Well, listen, we appreciate your call. Thanks so much. Well, I was asking you, Jill Collins, if you know of Eric Keller and Laura Willett. These are a couple and they are in Dalton. And if you, the listener, hasn't heard, there's a show at Dave and Polly's Art Emporium Friday. That's tomorrow at 7 p.m. It's called Reality and Dreamscape. It's this couple that has dreamy landscape, and there's he has taught at a Creative Discovery Museum, Hunter Museum in America of American Art, and Scenic Land School, and has other. He's well known in Chattanooga, a Baylor School teacher, and the owner, according to a note on a local website, says David Aft says both Laura and Eric have a significant following around the region, and we are lucky to present their work at the gallery. So there's an event. It's this Friday at 7 in Dalton.
Yeah, I believe they also had a showing at the Mountain Arts Community Center last year. Both a good body of work, very beautiful, very diverse from each other. A lot of gorgeous landscapes and also some portraits and things too. But they are well known in the community, and it's worth checking out this event to see, what is happening in art in this community.
A press release says that that Willett's work will include a deeply personal series of pieces inspired by classical figures reminiscent of Greek and Roman goddesses.
Oh, I hope I can get off work in time to go to that. So the show will probably be continuing, and they're not going to hang this show when it's over. This is the opening, right. And I imagine, and the show is probably going to be up for a while. So we'll look into that for you.
And also, just wanted the listeners to know on the art side, there's a Chattanooga Art Space on MLK. That's the 11th, which is initially marked Friday, but it's the 11th is Sunday, and that's on Martin Luther King Boulevard from 1:30 p.m. to 3. There's a concert and live music and things to eat, and it's the Chattanooga Art Space. And there's a note about that in the Pulse, which is my source for this information.
Yeah, that's a great publication that Chattanooga has here, the Pulse. They really do support and feature artists, musicians of all kinds in this community, and you can just look at that online, or you can pick one up in most of the local restaurants or coffee houses. So
it says the Pulse note says that it's been sold out every time, so plan to get your tickets early. I don't have any information for you, the listener, on the status of tickets, but I'm sure if you show up, you'll be warmly received at this event.
I think you could just Google Chattanooga and you're going to come up with it, and it probably is close to being sold out. Chattanooga, probably close to sold out already, because that's coming up very fast. And it's a 1-year celebration, day 4 of a 1-year celebration. So now that we don't have Nightfall and river music going on, here's an opportunity to hear some great music in Chattanooga, which is everywhere, and we need more of it. So that's an art that I was sharing. It reaches so many people through so many eras and times and radio waves and sound waves. It just goes out to millions.
Well, I think you're like to talk generally about the value of the arts, Joe Collins. I'd say one reason they're important is they teach the person who, you might say, consumes art, but I don't really like that usage.
I don't usually eat mine, but
well, I know an art consumer is that's very very proletarian and very pragmatic to use that terminology. But a person who enjoys arts and stimulates his mind and his eye with art is someone who's training himself or wants to be trained by the artist through the work to see new things and to see things and to go places that he hasn't been before, or she hasn't been before. So if you don't have art in your life, if you never look at an art book or never look at things in terms of art, then I'd say you're a bit poorer for it. Now, that's not to say that illustration and pictures aren't there. I think there's a difference, Jill Collins, artist, between an illustration and art, a flashing picture. There are many things that catch our eye. We are a very visual people, Americans now. We are kind of in a post-literary mode. No one reads anything at length as I like to write. It's all has to be short. And if there's a picture and the picture makes a point, well, that's enough. A few words in a picture, as on a Facebook meme, that communicates a point. But art, really, that's not art. Those are means of communication. But art is something higher, I would say, and distinct from that.
I agree with that. And it's maybe on a personal note, I'll share this, that, currently I am not able to live in my own space due to circumstances and things. And as an artist, I feel literally a pain. I miss my work. I miss my artwork. I miss myself interacting with it. So I think that part of the reason I wanted to talk about society and art today was how does that affect you? How does that affect your children? What you have hanging in your home, what they're seeing in the world concerning art, and what is being presented to them as art? Where is the plumb line of where this works into our society and what is art?
I must say that as an artist, as a person of an artistic interest, I'm sometimes beleaguering of people such as my sister-in-law who lives in Nashville with her husband. She's a high-flying charity CEO, and he's an engineer, an executive property manager in the healthcare field. And in their dining room, there's a painting. And this time again, I discussed with a young man who was visiting for the Thanksgiving meal, the painting on the wall. I said, "Is there anything wrong with that painting?" And he looked at it and didn't see it. I said, "Well, don't you realize there are about 4 perspectives in there which are not true? They're not true perspectives." It was a scene from a wharf looking at a series of buildings along a wharf going around the right side of the painting, and then in the background, hills and the sea. The painting was a mess of perspectives. Someone made it without actually being in a place to see it, and he just sort of invented things. And so I guess what I would say is, if there's a bad painting and you don't see it, you're being taught something wrong. You're being forced to see things that are not true to life, and thereby you're being deceived. So there's a wrong in being deceived by a bad painting.
Well, what if the painter intended that perspective, like Salvador Dali, for instance, who...
Well, clearly, Dali is clearly different from a painting which pretends to be representational of a sort of Italian beachside sea scene.
So they just missed the part in College of 101 where you learn to do perspective and you learn to do distance versus, or infinity versus the foreground, this sort of thing.
Maybe.
So,
I think in modern artists, there's a huge lack of technical prowess and technical gift.
Well, I see that in
teaching is poor, is my thinking.
That's an interesting point. Having gone to college, I feel I did receive some great teaching, sold almost everything I created in college. But as your mom said, being from Europe, and I looked at the European paintings after hearing her statement about French art versus American art. And if you look at it, the real difference is the play of actual light. And at the Hunter Museum, there's a piece that the people are on a train, and this one beam of sunshine is represented through this yellow paint on this little boy's lap. And to me, that represents my goal to represent light, how it plays into society. I do a lot of things that you may not agree are typically, I don't do necessarily all traditional art. I do a lot of different stuff. So I would hesitate to say a painting was wrong, especially if these people had it hanging in their house and they enjoy it. So.
Like I said, I was beleaguering my sister-in-law and her husband. It was, I think he's the man of the house had to just kind of bear with me, and his young guest, the engineer, finally saw what I was saying. So he did learn something. He did learn to see straight by looking at something that was crooked.
Right. He just didn't understand the perspectives there of how you can represent actual reality through the techniques you learn in school. I mean, art is taught in schools, and there are perspectives to learn, two perspectives, one perspective, all these different things, foreground, background, middle ground, colors.
So you can say, Joe Collins, even if the painting is bad, it does make a statement about it is what it is, and it kind of stands on its own, regardless of critics.
This painting is hanging in this person's house, so that would be my statement. I'd like mine in more people's homes. So, well, thanks for joining us on the Art Beat of Chattanooga today. Nooga Radio, 101.1 FM, 1240 AM. We're excited to have you with us today, and just have a great day.
Thanks for joining us.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga